The forest held its breath. The wind refused to speak, and Kwabena finally saw the truth. The footprints he had chased for hours were his own. The moon was a thin slice of white, barely strong enough to pierce the thick canopy of the Akomadan forest. Shadows stretched like long fingers across the narrow footpath, twisting and bending with every shaky movement of Kwabena's torch. He stood completely still. Sweat ran down his temples. His chest rose and fell, not from fear, but from a cold realization that stabbed deeper than any knife. The trail he had followed, the thief he had sworn to catch, the footsteps leading him deeper and deeper into the swallowing forest. They were his. Kwabena's breath trembled. The forest around him whispered nothing, only silence, the kind that held judgment. How did this happen? How did a skilled hunter like him lose himself in the forest he had conquered since childhood? His mind burned as the truth pulled him backward into the events that brought him here. The morning had begun like any other in Akomadan village. Roosters crowed lazily. Smoke drifted from clay kitchens. Children chased each other between the mango trees. Hunters sharpened their arrows while gossiping about whose traps were empty. And in the center of it all stood Kwabena, 33, tall, broad-shouldered, with eyes that never seemed to smile. The villagers respected him. Some admired him. Many feared his temper. But everyone agreed on one thing. He was the finest hunter Akomadan had produced in decades. Game rarely escaped his arrow. He walked the forest like one who owned it. And his voice, dry, sharp, and heavy, could silence a whole gathering. On this particular morning, he stood proudly beside a stack of fresh animal skins, his trophies, his proof. Across the marketplace, a few elderly hunters whispered, "Kwabena hunts like a lion," one said. But even lions fall," another muttered. Kwabena pretended not to hear, but his pride pricked him like thorns. Then, just as the sun began to rise, a young boy sprinted toward him, panting. "Kwabena! Kwabena! Someone has stolen your prize antelope hide." Kwabena froze. His prized hide, the one he meant to sell to the chief's buyer, the one he skinned with his own hands, the one he bragged about just yesterday. His jaw tightened. "Who?" he growled. "No one knows, but they left footprints, heading into the forest." Kwabena didn't think, didn't breathe, didn't wait to question. He grabbed his bow, strapped his knife, snatched his torch, and with the fire of wounded pride burning behind his ribs, he marched into the forest. The Akomadan forest was no ordinary place. Villagers claimed that echoes lingered too long there, that shadows seemed to shift even when no one moved, that the trees remembered every hunter who entered. But Kwabena, he dismissed such talk as foolishness. He stepped into the forest, following the footprints with the confidence of a man who believed nothing could deceive him. The trail was clear, fresh prints in the soft earth. Kwabena smirked. "You are foolish," he muttered to the unseen thief. "You dare steal from me." He marched forward, deeper and deeper, ignoring how the air grew colder. The canopy thickened above him, allowing only scraps of light to fall through. As he walked, his thoughts hardened. These villagers think they can mock me. They whisper that I boast too much. Well, I'll return with the thief tied behind me. His pride marched beside him, step for step, but the forest had its own rhythm, slow, patient, and now it watched him quietly. Hours passed. The sun began to fall. Still, Kwabena followed the footprints, yet something felt strange. The trail twisted in odd ways, doubling back, curving sharply, almost circling. But Kwabena didn't stop. He refused to doubt himself. He pressed onward, guided not by wisdom but by anger. Night crept in too quickly. A thick blanket of darkness swallowed the trees. Crickets screamed. Owls blinked from high branches, their yellow eyes glowing like small fires. Kwabena lit his torch, the flames dancing erratically. That was when he heard it. A rustle behind him. He spun around. Nothing. He listened again. Silence. He breathed deeply, but his chest felt tight. "Your tricks won't work on me," he growled at the emptiness. But the emptiness did not answer. He pressed forward. The footprints were still there, but fainter now. The forest floor was harder, the earth dry. Yet somehow, the prints continued, leading, leading, leading. Kwabena followed faster. Branches slapped his face, vines tugged at his feet. Bushes whispered as he passed. Still, he refused to slow down. His pride would not allow it. Soon the trail led him across a shallow stream. Another hour passed, then another, then another. Kwabena's legs ached, his eyes burned. His breath felt heavier, sharp, and metallic. But the anger in him pushed him forward like a hand shoving his back. The torch flickered. His footsteps grew louder, crunching leaves and twigs. Birds startled into flight. Bushes trembled. Whenever Kwabena stopped, he could hear his own heartbeat echoing between the trees. Then he noticed something strange. A broken branch, a stone he remembered stepping on, a tree with a hollow knot like a staring eye. He frowned. No, no, I haven't been here before. He marched faster, but the forest stayed the same, unchanging, repeating, watching. His mind whispered, "Turn back." But his pride roared, "Never." He continued. The footprints now curved in a wide circle. Kwabena didn't notice. Sweat dripped into his eyes. He wiped it angrily. The forest floor became familiar again. Too familiar. He shook his head. "You cannot trick me," he whispered. But his voice cracked. Kwabena's breath grew harsh as he pushed deeper into the now twisting forest. The torchlight danced in uneven patterns, stretching shadows into long, distorted shapes. Every dark patch looked like a crouching figure. Every fallen log looked like a lurking animal. His heart pounded. The footprints kept looping, but he didn't notice. Not yet. Instead, a more dangerous enemy crawled into him. Doubt. What if the thief was watching him? What if he was walking in circles? What if someone was playing with him, mocking him? His pride swelled painfully. His anger sharpened. His exhaustion blurred the world. And his mind, slowly, quietly, began to twist. Once, he heard footsteps behind him. He spun around, but the forest was silent. Another time, he saw a shadow move. He attacked it with his knife, but it was only a tree trunk. His breath turned shallow. "Come out!" he shouted into the trees. "Face me!" The forest swallowed his voice and returned nothing. Kwabena gripped his bow so tightly that his knuckles turned white. He walked faster, then ran, then walked again. The footprints guided him, like a rope pulling him forward. He didn't question. He didn't think. He just followed. Hours later, the moon disappeared behind a thick veil of clouds. Kwabena stopped, out of breath, trembling, torch low, but the footprints continued ahead. He lifted his torch. The trail shone clearly. Fresh prints, deep, heavy, exactly like his own. Exactly. His chest tightened. He knelt down to examine one. The size, the depth, the shape of the heel. His heart thudded. He placed his own foot beside the print. Perfect. Identical. A mirror. Kwabena froze. No, no, that's not possible. He walked backward, comparing each print. Every mark matched his step length, his stride, his pattern, his weight. his throat constricted. He turned, slowly, following the trail backward, and found his own footprints behind him. The forest spun. He had not been chasing a thief. He had been chasing himself. Round and round, deeper and deeper, lost inside the maze of his own pride. Kwabena staggered backward. A low, bitter laugh escaped his lips. Ah, so this is what I have become. He fell to his knees. The torch slipped from his hand, rolling across the leaves. He whispered, voice trembling. I walked so fast, so angrily, that I chased my own shadow. The forest watched silently. There was no magic, no spirits, no illusions. Only a man blinded by his temper, consumed by pride, lost in his own footsteps. Kwabena sat on the cold ground for a long time. He breathed deeply, slowly, painfully. He felt the weight of his foolishness settle on him like a heavy cloak. How many hours have I wasted? How many times have I walked the same path? How many warnings did I ignore? The forest rustled gently now, as if relieved that he had finally understood. Kwabena stood up. He steadied himself. He lifted his fallen torch. Then, with a soft, humbled voice, he whispered, take me home. This time, he didn't run. He didn't shout. He didn't follow footprints. He followed the wind, the slope of the land, the familiar smell of the village smoke, and the quiet wisdom he had ignored for years. When he finally stepped out of the forest's edge, the first glow of dawn kissed the horizon. Villagers spotted him and ran toward him. Kwabena, did you catch the thief? What did you find? Where is the hide? He looked at their curious faces, faces he once wanted to impress, and he lowered his head. There was no thief, he said quietly. I was chasing myself. The villagers gasped, murmured, whispered. But Kwabena did not care. For the first time in years, he felt light, not from pride, but from honesty. That day, Kwabena walked through Akomada not with his usual loud steps, but with calm, thoughtful ones. He apologized where he once barked orders. He listened where he once mocked. He breathed before he spoke. And whenever young hunters bragged or quarreled, the elders would smile and say, be careful, my children. Pride will make you chase your own footsteps until you are lost. Kwabena would simply nod. He knew the truth of those words more than anyone. This has been AwoTales. Don't forget to subscribe and share the lesson you learned in the comments. Pride blinds us, and when we refuse to listen, we become our own enemy.